Do you want to know the most effective way to fight a narcissist? If you are in a situation like that, you know that it can feel like a constant battle, feels like a fight for your own life, for your own reality, and for your sanity. It can even feel like a fight for your soul. And it is a lot like that. In this video, I want to share with you the single most powerful way to win the battle with a narcissist. I'm personally not one to really enjoy battle tactics or even get myself into such situations. But if you are in one of these relationships, then you know how every day can feel like a losing battle, a battle that you never wanted and didn't sign up for. Those kinds of battles are specifically crafted by narcissistic people, and it's really hard to get an edge on them. We're really fortunate right now because there's so much educational content about these relationships and how to navigate them and different tactics that you can use, like gray rocking, for instance. And while education is an incredibly important first step in getting ourselves out of these muddled situations and getting our life back again, a person can't just simply go into gray rocking or not showing emotion or not being reactive or not getting upset or not falling into the traps that the narcissist sets for them unless they learn how to do this one very important thing. Putting your focus on this one area is going to help all of the other pieces fall into place. The most important and the most effective thing that you can do to win these situations is to learn to regulate your nervous system. And here's why. Narcissists thrive on your emotional energy. We all hear about narcissistic fuel or narcissistic supply. And in a lot of cases, this is your appreciation of them, this is your love of them, your praise of them, but it is also how upset you get at their behavior. It is also your tears, it's your anger, it's your destabilization. It is the emotions that you show when they have an effect on you. As long as they have power over you or have control over you and you are being emotionally reactive, that gives them fuel, that makes them feel important. That is what they are feeding off of. They also get to use your reactivity in order to blame you for the entire situation afterwards. So your emotional volatility and your reactivity is the one main weapon that they will use against you. They need that in order to keep this dynamic going. But when you are regulated, you're much less reactive. They can't destabilize you as easily. You are able to see more clearly and be aware of what's happening around you. You are able to stay in your center, and therefore it's harder for them to gaslight or destabilize you. Narcissists rely on your destabilization. That is their goal because you are so much easier to manipulate and control when you are off balance. Focusing on regulating your nervous system is a powerful protective measure against manipulative people. It's also for you. A lot of times we are focused on trying to get our power back from a narcissist, which means dancing around their behaviors and their tactics. This is not only extremely draining, but it's rarely productive. Focusing on yourself, your well-being, and stabilizing yourself is the foundational step to reclaiming your power from a narcissistic person or any other cult-like control dynamic. Once you have reclaimed your center, you know where you are. You know where you stand, and that means that you can move more powerfully from that place. And once you are centered and balanced, it's much more natural for you to disengage, to gray rock, or to not get yourself ensnared in their tactics. Okay, so how do we do this? There are many ways, but I'm going to share my top 3. The most effective tool that you can use against a narcissist is meditation. Okay, before you roll your eyes, just hear me out. I know this sounds absurd, and I also know what it's like to avoid meditation like the plague. It sucks at first, and it's hard to be confronted with every thought and feeling that you've been trying to push away or trying to distract yourself from because it's so uncomfortable. But after you push through that initial phase, and it is a very short phase, I promise, something really magical starts to happen. You begin to find peace in yourself, and you begin to find this clarity, this calm, this centeredness in the midst of a storm. I have personally found this practice to be life-changing, and science backs this up. Living with narcissistic abuse causes literal brain damage. This has been proven in a number of scientific studies. Your brain changes over time when it's trying to adapt to the constant trauma and stress of long-term psychological abuse. When we meditate, we physically heal our brain. And when we go into that meditative space, there's a coherence that starts to happen, and our brain can relax. In these states, it can begin to come back into harmony. Sometimes after betrayal trauma, the hemispheres of the brain don't synchronize anymore the way that they used to. Meditation helps to restore harmony there. This is something that I've experienced myself and was very surprised and delighted to experience. I avoided meditation for a long time because it just didn't feel good. It hurt my back. My brain was all over the place. I thought that, well, I'm meditating when I'm painting or dancing or doing something else, going on a walk. That's meditative. And it's true. But there's something special about sitting quietly with no distraction at all and breathing and letting your brain just dump. And at some point it realizes that it can actually recalibrate from that space. And it only takes a few days of doing this to start noticing a slight difference. But I can say even just 15 to 20 minutes of doing this a day changes my life. It makes me feel so much better. It actually gives me the clarity and the focus and the control I need over my own mind to go about my day, which for most people, they already have that. It's fine. But when you have come out of an abusive situation, that's something that you have to repattern and relearn it in yourself because you're so used to being out of control. You're so used to being aware of everything around you, of being hyper vigilant, of constantly monitoring this other person and constantly thinking about anything you might say or do and how it's going to be received and what kind of trap you might step in next. I mean, it's exhausting. And your brain has rewired itself to take in way too much information at any given moment. This is a common symptom of CPTSD. And when you meditate and allow yourself to focus on one word or just your breathing, and yes, it takes practice to get there, but once your brain realizes that it is allowed to relax, even if it's just in these small moments, it will start to undo the damage that has been done and repair itself. Meditating helps us to get out of those painful and anxious rumination and obsessive cycles that we can find ourselves spiraling into. When you meditate, you come home to yourself and your innate wisdom and intuition. And those are the very things that narcissistic people try to disconnect you from. They want to be your authority and they want to control the narrative, even if it's a false one. Being in your center and aware and lucid keeps them from gaining this advantage over you and fooling you. Now, this isn't to say that once you start meditating, everything is going to be clear and easy. Nothing is clear or easy in these relationships. There are so many twists and turns and tactics and maneuvers that will be aimed your way, but being centered gives you the best shot at making the best decision for you in any given moment. Okay, the second most potent way to regulate your nervous system and win against a narcissist is by doing the things you love to do. Focusing on your hobbies and your passions and building your own life is essential. Your enjoyment fills you up with life and it gives you meaning. Engaging in your pleasures regulates your nervous system while providing nourishing chemicals to your brain. This also helps to reduce stress and heal the symptoms of prolonged stress, like the brain damage that we talked about earlier. Your creative power is power, and it's yours. Have you ever noticed that a narcissist or a bully will try to break down your passions? They will shame you for the things you love to do or tell you that you're terrible at it, that you're not talented, or that it's a stupid thing to want to do anyway. So I'm an artist, and I was told that my art was selfish and that I didn't know what it was to do anything for the good of humanity. And even though the focus of all of my artwork at the time was healing, the intention of my art was to help people who saw it feel really good. And the sad thing is that I let that comment impact me. So understand that when they do this, they are trying to take your joys away because they give you power. And narcissists are dedicated to disempowering you. So what do? You double down on them. Do not listen to their criticism. And in fact, whatever they criticize, do it bigger. Let it embolden you to take your passions even further. Because if they're coming down on you for something that you love, then that's a really good indicator that you are getting a lot of energy from doing it. Okay, the third really powerful way to combat a narcissist, you're going to think it's silly, but it's so true, is nutrition. Taking care of your physical health is also taking care of your mental health. Getting the proper nutrition is especially important when our bodies are fighting the stress of a constant threat. Cortisol and adrenaline can really affect our digestion and our ability to absorb nutrients. So helping our bodies pull this extra load really helps us have a better shot of coming out victorious. If you're not getting the proper nutrition, it's going to affect the way that you think and the way that you feel, and you're going to feel more run down, more helpless, less powerful. It's going to be harder to be resilient in these times, and you need your resilience, you need your power, you need your clarity. That's why this is such an important key. Supplementation like magnesium and nervine herbs, these are the herbs that really help support the nervous system, and adaptogens all help the body process the shit that it's working through. It's really easy to fall into waves of anxiety and depression in these relationships, and magnesium is huge in helping you process the adrenaline and the cortisol that's in your system. There are studies that show that magnesium deficiency looks exactly the same as different anxiety disorders, and most of us are deficient in magnesium, so please get some of that if you're not on it already. Nervine herbs like milky oat and skullcap and lemon balm, hawthorn is a huge one, passion flower. Any of these herbs that are going to help you relax and maintain equilibrium are going to be so helpful. They feel kind of subtle, like a lot of these things I'm talking about, they're more subtle things, but they help build this very strong foundation. It's like trying to run in sand versus having solid ground on your feet. So all of these techniques are building solid ground for you. On the other hand, too much sugar or alcohol or caffeine can leave us really foggy or irritable and make it harder for us to think clearly. Unfortunately, they can end up having us feeling more destabilized. Sadly, coffee can really do a number on your adrenals and your mental health. I noticed a massive shift in my inner psychological and emotional environment when I'm not drinking coffee versus when I am. When I am, I tend to be more anxious and uptight, and my thoughts go a little bit more dark. But everyone's different. I recommend you trying cutting it out for a while and seeing if it works. And if you don't notice a difference, then okay. But if you do, then that's awesome. Exercise is also a great thing to do because feeling physically strong helps us feel mentally strong. And your body produces uplifting endorphins when you exercise. So your emotions are uplifted and you feel better about yourself. Anything that elevates your mood or gets you into your body in a healthy way and supports your brain chemistry is going to help you regulate your nervous system. Any time and attention that you spend bettering how you feel and live is going to support your thriving and lessen your tolerance for narcissistic behavior. And you doing this, you enjoying yourself, is probably going to upset them. But let them. Focus on you and clarity will flow. One thing I will add about meditation is that there are many different ways to do this. So find a technique that works for you. I personally really enjoyed guided meditations at first. There are a lot by Joe Dispenza that I found really helpful. I also liked listening to affirmation meditations. If I was in a really rough spot, it helped for me to find different guided meditations that would guide me through some affirmations that would just bring me back to center and help me feel better about myself and my life, and bring me back into trust. Those are really great. I'm going to be adding more of those here on this channel, specifically for heartbreak and narcissistic abuse recovery. But in the meantime, there's a lot of this kind of content on YouTube. Just kind of see what feels good to you. That's what you're looking for, is what feels good, what feels right to you. Some people like Vedic meditation or transcendental meditation. I haven't gotten too far into that, but I do follow a woman, a crappy childhood fairy, here on YouTube. She's amazing, and she has this daily practice that she also offers for free. It has its roots in Vedic meditation, and then there's a writing practice that you do beforehand. I've found that incredibly helpful, especially if you're the kind of person that when you sit down to meditate, it's just extremely uncomfortable, like your mind is racing, and it can cause you more anxiety because you're more aware of all of the disconcerting fears and thoughts and things that you're upset about are just rolling around in your mind, and they're more amplified. This can be a really great practice for you. But ultimately, everyone's different. I know a lot of people just say meditation doesn't work for them, and maybe it doesn't. It didn't for me, or at least I thought it didn't, until I really sat with it. And I tried a few different techniques, and now it's just like, oh my God, I was really missing out. Like, I really deprived myself of something that has become highly beneficial and totally life-changing for me, just because it was really uncomfortable in the beginning. So if that's happening for you, don't give up. Give it a shot. Give it like a real chance. And then, of course, if you hate it, then don't do it. Like, do what feels good to you, and just trust that naturally you will find the right things for you. I hope you found this video helpful. I send you all my love, and I'll see you in the next one.